Hello and welcome to Planet Outlook. We all know the importance of water in our lives, and this is a special episode where we take a deep dive with a global business leader into the issue of water conservation. Joining me in this special broadcast is Ravi Annavarapu, President FMC India, as part of the FMC Corporation, a giant in the agricultural sector. Thank you, Ravi, for joining us on Planet Outlook. It's a pleasure having you on this show.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So, Ravi, let me begin by asking you, the water is now a very important commodity in our lives. And FMC, as a global with a presence, has been focusing on water conservation and sustainability issues. So let's hear from you the story so far.
Sure, yeah. First of all, really pleased to be here and to be talking to you about this very important issue, Ananda. So let me just briefly tell you about FMC because, before we get into the issue at hand. So we are a global agricultural sciences company. We are one of the leaders in this space, and we focus very much on innovation and bringing some of the more cutting edge sustainable chemistries to help protect crops for farmers, provide us food security for the world, as well as prosperity for the farmers. Now, one of our core values, in addition to being in business, is sustainability. So for us, it's as important to be in a sustainable business, which is good for the environment and good for the communities around us, as it is to be in the business itself. So we adhere very strongly to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So the goals around zero hunger, water conservation, climate change, and diversity and inclusion. So these are the 4 sustainable development goals that globally FMC adheres to. In fact, we have a position of Chief Sustainability Officer, which is one of the rare positions. So she reports to the CEO, who actually drives our sustainability agenda globally. If you look at India specifically, once again, our strategy is very aligned to whatever our global strategy is. We have 4 key themes on sustainability for India, and water conservation is one of the big themes for us. So safe water and good health, especially in the rural communities, that's a really important focus area for us. In addition to that, we focus on other aspects of sustainability, like promoting good agricultural practices, so that the products that we promote are used in a safe and secure manner. Promoting science in agriculture, because there's a lot of room to progress science in agriculture and move again sustainably. And finally, empowering women, because half our world is comprising of women. So we need to make sure even in the field of agriculture, women get their rightful place. So that's one of the agendas that we drive in the community. So those are some of the areas that we focus on. Happy to expand more on each of these elements, but that's kind of our sustainability agenda.
You mentioned SDG goals. You are also creating a circular water economy. So if you can say something about that circular water economy that you're doing.
Sure. So in SDG goals, clean water is one of the goals, right, as mandated by the UN. So for us, circular water economy is, it goes under the clean water umbrella. So we approach it in 2 ways. One is very concretely, I can tell you, through our manufacturing operations. So if you look at our manufacturing operations globally, compared to the 2018 baseline, we have already achieved about a 20% reduction in water use globally across all our sites. So whether you look at, manufacturing, supply chain, etc. Very specifically to India, we have a manufacturing site in Panoli, Gujarat. We have a couple actually in Gujarat, but I'll talk to you specifically about Panoli. There we have committed to having zero wastewater discharge out of Panoli. So by the year end, we should discharge, and we will do this by various initiatives. We are recycling most of the water in the site, and we are cleaning it up through RO and other mechanisms. We also eliminate water as a solvent for other more recyclable solvents. Recycling better, doing more recycling on cooling water. So all these concrete initiatives on the site, we're able to achieve zero wastewater discharge at Panoli. So that's a very concrete thing. In addition to that, we are also investing in rainwater harvesting in Panoli. So, we have already this season harvested about 1,000 KL of water, and we hope to get more than 2,500 KL of water every year through the rainwater harvesting, which then we plan to expand, across the rest of our footprint. So that's on the manufacturing side. On the business side, on the farmer side, in the field, again, agriculture is a very water intensive kind of a field, especially in India, where paddy is grown, and paddy is an extremely water intensive crop. So our goal is, in every interaction we have, as we reach farmers and we connect with farmers, we reach millions of farmers every year. So the goal is to then, in every interaction, explain the importance of water, how water is scarce, especially fresh water, the scarcity of that, and
Ravi,
how to
I
best
want to
utilize.
just want to interrupt you here because
Sure.
I want to come to the farmer section a little later. And as you talked about the circular water economy, what are your plans? You explained your Gujarat example. How are you going to carry this forward to in the other parts of the country?
So, I mean, look, wherever we have operations, right, the different manufacturing operations, the idea is to continue to expand this kind of thinking, because the company is very serious about sustainability. So our goal is to then, Panoli is leading the way for us, and we have other sites at Savli, we have office locations, etc. So wherever it's possible and feasible, the idea is to continue and really reach the net zero consumption, right? Ultimately that's the goal. The nature recycles water in its own way, but we as humans, we have a role to play in recycling water and really reducing the load on the environment for fresh water. So that is really from a manufacturing side. But I'll also tell you, being in the field of agriculture, it's really, really important that we have concrete impact in the way farmers use water, because that's, and so there's a role for new technologies there as well. So as we bring in more newer technologies like precision agriculture, drone spraying, precision spraying, I think that enables in itself also reduction of water usage, so that contributes to a circular water economy as well. So those are the concrete things that I can tell you at this point, the way we are making progress on that area.
Well, absolutely fabulous to hear this. And so, we coming back to the farmers things. Well, they are your core customers. They are part of your integral part of your business, as also as your welfare programs. So yes, I'm gonna carry on with your story there. I interrupted you. I'm sorry for that, but yeah, please carry on.
No worries at all. No worries at all. Yeah, I mean, farmers are ultimately, right, we call them the Annadata, right? They are the ones who are underpinning, they provide food to us, the security of food. And, India is in a good position, right? We are one of the largest producers of food in the world. So from that standpoint, absolutely, we got to take care of the farmer and the communities where we operate. First and foremost, the way we support farmer is, of course, through our products itself. We have some of the most innovative products which are relatively safer from an environment perspective. So because of that, you have positive effect on the beneficials, while taking care of some of the more invasive pests, which ultimately helps secure the produce for the farmer. And it gives us better produce and security of food, and also gives farmer the prosperity. So we do a lot of local R&D, which brings those kind of cutting edge products which are needed, which solve the farmer's most pressing problems for the Indian farmer. Now, in addition to this, as I mentioned, we are very committed to sustainability, which means serving the communities where we operate. So safe water and good health, is one of our platforms, which is what we are driving through our project Samarth. So here we have made an investment in reverse osmosis plants across the country. Already to date, we have invested in 45 water purification plants, reaching almost 88,000 farming families, providing them with potable water, right? So this helps with preventing waterborne diseases and access to clean water. So in the past, when a farmer family, in some areas, not everywhere, but in some areas, wherever there's scarcity, farming families would have to, walk 20 kilometers. I have seen it myself, go 10, 15 kilometers to get access to pure water. Now they have the ability to get there themselves, right? So that is a big agenda, which we are going to grow further. I can talk to you more about that if you'd like to hear. We are also working on other things. So we are working on science in agriculture, where we are supporting. We This year we've launched a program where we are supporting 20 students, some of them from farming backgrounds, to get advanced degrees like PhD and MS in some of the most prestigious agricultural universities around the country. So and we have committed that half of them need to be women. So linked to our theme of empowering women, half of the world is women, so half of our scholarships should be going to women. So we want women to get advanced degrees to progress and contribute back through science in agriculture. So those are some of the things we are doing to give back to the communities. In addition to that, we've done a lot of work on COVID. During COVID, I think we played our part. We committed to putting in 8 oxygen plants all over the country. We've already inaugurated a few of them. We did a lot of campaigns on COVID safety to reach rural audience, particularly. We reached almost 1.5 million farmers through those campaigns to explain to them what COVID is and how they can be safe. And we also, of course, distributed masks and PPE kits and the usual education efforts for farmers. So those are all the things. I think we have a pretty comprehensive agenda when it comes to working for farmer welfare in the country.
But when you talk about science in agriculture, how do you see in the era of climate change the future of farming and agriculture in the country?
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, it's a tough one, Ananda. It's a tough one, and it's staring us all in the face. And we got to do something about it, right? You can see the weather is getting erratic. You see, on average, rainfall is okay, but there is too much in some place. There's too little in some place. It comes too early, too late. So climate change is already here, and there's an urgent action that is needed from our side. So specifically to your question around, promoting science in agriculture and ensuring the role, I mean, to make sure we take care of it during the era of climate change, I think we got to continue to look at new technologies. So the way we used to do agriculture in the past, I think we got to take a fresh look at that. So for instance, the traditional practices, right? You got to sow at a certain time, harvesting will happen at a certain time, you'll take care of the crop in a certain way. Maybe some of those assumptions need to be challenged, and the only way that will happen is that there's a big role for science in that. So as farming families, as they grow, they invest in their children's education, the levels go up, we bring some of the more cutting edge thinking around that, then maybe the whole agricultural industry, the practices that we follow will be more resilient. So we are not so dependent on monsoon and its vagaries, right? Today, we are very exposed. In large parts of the country, we're really exposed. And if something happens due to climate change with the monsoon pattern changes, farmers, they pay for it personally, right? So there is a role for science. There is a role for new technologies like direct seeded rice, for precision agriculture, as I mentioned, drones and, precision spraying, things like that. Some of the newer chemistries. So I think there's a big role for science, and we got to empower that. It's in our interest to do that.
And what about soil health, which is another big worry because there is an intensive use of pesticide, herbicide on our land for many years. And in some pockets, we are seeing those effects. So what do you do on that issue, on soil health, particularly on soil health?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think in addition to water, soil is one of the other absolute critical inputs for the field of agriculture, right? Soil quality has been deteriorating over time. You are right. I think the biggest factor in it, and this is my view, right, and probably borne by other experts as well, the biggest factor is excessive use of fertilizers. So as we go and we have this practice, right, traditional practice of applying urea everywhere, and I mean too much urea, then the soil becomes saline and some of the other minerals, they start deteriorating. So I would say absolutely we got to take care. We got to make sure that the right inputs go to the soil at the right time. We from FMC's perspective, we are very serious about soil health as well. So we launched a campaign called Project Ugam. This was launched on World Soil Day late last December. And the idea there was to educate farmers that the soil health is beyond just applying urea. It's about really understanding what is in your soil, what are the deficiencies. For instance, if you map soil all over the country, you'll see many parts they have severe deficiency of zinc, and we are applying urea, which does nothing to solve for the zinc deficiency, right? So we got to really test the soil, and it's possible now. So we launched these things called mobile soil testing vans, where you can go pick up a piece of soil, and immediately through rapid testing you can figure out which elements are missing, and what the soil really needs. Is it boron, is it zinc, it is calcium, whatever it is. You are then able to say, okay, it's not about applying the bulk fertilizers, the NPKs, but it's maybe about expanding and going to more of the specialty nutrients. So there's a big role for specialty nutrients in plant health and soil health. So once the soil is healthy, then obviously whatever crop you put in will come out healthy.
So when you test the soil, do you test for the carbon sinks as well? Because soil is also key to the holding on to the carbon sinks and mitigating climate change also.
Yeah. So to be very honest with you, that's not an area where we have gone into, but you are absolutely right. I think there is a clear link between soil and the carbon capture, right? So that's definitely there. I mean, you can see beyond India, as you see deforestation and right in many of the forests and the soils which hold carbon, then all that carbon gets released into the atmosphere, right, through carbon dioxide. So there's definitely a link, but we haven't focused as much on it, to be honest with you. For us, it's been much more about what are the nutrients lacking in the soil, how much organic matter is there in the soil, and how do you bring that balance again for soil health from a nutrient perspective. So this is really critical for us to make sure, and it's possible. I can see even in the last 2 to 3 years, farmers are getting more aware about this, and this is one of the fastest growing fields today, the field of soil nutrition and plant nutrition, right, which ultimately is a result of soil nutrition. So that's an area which is growing, and I think the whole country will benefit a lot once we start looking at soil holistically and not just apply the bulk fertilizers.
Earlier you mentioned about your project Samarth. So if you can expand on Project Samarth, because I know it's a program where you really focus on advancing water stewardship.
Yeah, sure. So I'm very pleased to talk to you about Project Samarth, because this is something very close to my heart. We have undertaken a multi-year program, Ananda. So this program is about making potable water accessible to rural communities in India. The plan is that within the next 3 years, we should have about 200,000 farming families who should have access to potable water. So we are doing this by building the capability on the ground. So, the only way you can solve this is, so you have to build it up in the ground, make the community self-sufficient. So we are installing these community water filtration plants all over the country. So far, we have installed about 45 of them across the states of UP and Punjab. The idea is to scale this up further. Our goal is to cover about 7 states with this initiative and reach about 200,000. We have reached about 80,000 till now. The idea is to reach 200,000. It's kind of a self-service facility. It's an RO plant. You need to have reliable power supply and a reliable groundwater source. And then you put the RO plant in place. Then the farmer each family gets a swipe card. So, each swipe card allows you a quota of about 25 liters a day. So you put the swipe card in front of, the machine, you bring your vessel, whatever it is, and you put it there. You get fresh drinking water, about 25 liters for the day, right? So that's the idea. The idea is we will install these facilities. We will train the farmers or the local communities how to operate and maintain. We are also providing initially a little bit of maintenance initially so that the thing gets going. But at a very nominal charge, maybe 3, 4, 5 rupees a day, you can get 20 liters of very fresh water. And that amount then, goes towards keeping it self-sufficient and maintaining the facility over time. So that's the commitment we made. We're already making good progress on it. And our goal is to really scale this up and see it through to conclusion over the next couple of years.
But do you find it challenging, because we are a very diverse country? Most of our farmers are also are economically from a very backward region. So, is there a challenge for farmers to adapt to the all the new technologies coming, or how do you see this transition happening? I'm just saying this because it's a
Yeah, yeah.
question that just comes to my back of my mind. So I'm just throwing
No,
it.
no, absolutely. In fact, what I would say is farmers are actually they are very smart. This is my general. So Ananda, I worked a long time in the US. I came back to India. I traveled all over, interacted with farmers. What I found is farmers know about their business and about their crops. I mean, they are the real experts. And in our experience now, even beyond farming, when you go to places like these RU projects, etc., what we found is there's a lot of ownership, right? They're only looking for that spark, but once somebody is interested, there's a lot of ownership. People are willing to step up, especially some of the more village elders, or people who have a little bit more influence and ability in the local villages. They're willing to step up. They're taking ownership. They don't have the capital or the know-how to actually make something like this happen, but once you kickstart that process, and you show a couple of ideas on how this might work, farmers are able to really pick it up and scale it and go. Now this varies across the country, obviously, right? There are certain areas which are maybe lagging a little compared to others are far ahead, but broadly, I'm really impressed with how holistically a farmer is able to think, except that their exposure is a little limited to what they do. But I mean, we are having a really good experience installing all these sites.
Well, I can say the same with you and FMC. You are playing a role of a change maker. So, to end this special episode, I want to ask you what's the next 10 years going to be?
Yeah, no, thank you. Our goal, as part of FMC India is to continue driving the sustainability agenda. So, our corporation globally, it has set some pretty long-term goals as well for us. So recently, the corporation announced a net zero goal. So FMC has announced that by 2035, we want to be net zero emissions, globally. So I mean, it's 2035 because it's really hard to do. It's really hard to be zero emission company, right? But we have made the commitment, and this is a global commitment. So we're going to do this everywhere, including India. So that's coming. Of course, Project Samarth will come to its conclusion in the next 3 years or so. But we have to see what next after that. Maybe it's something around soil. Maybe it's something further on water, right? So there's a lot of avenues where this can go. So it's not yet defined, but we are very serious about our sustainability agenda. The other thing that we are looking to drive really seriously is around new technologies. So whether it is precision agriculture, which enables to optimize the inputs that a farmer needs to use for their crops. So, and that's very tightly linked to sustainability, because when you optimize when and how much of an input that goes into a crop, it automatically helps not only the crop and its yield and the farmer, but also the environment. So that's something that we are on. We recently signed. We made an investment on precision agriculture in with a local company here called Tartan Sense. So we are serious on that. So we are working on precision agriculture, drone spraying, to make sure that again we are able to map the right disease, the pest, the weed, and apply the exact right kind of input to take care of those. So that's also on the agenda. And then, of course, manufacturing sites will continue driving towards improving the input usage and getting to water neutral in the future. So pretty broad-based sustainability agenda for us. More to come. Some of them are more concrete, others are more in the idea stage, but I'm looking forward to building on this in the future.
And I'm looking forward to have you more and more on the show in the coming years to talk about all these stories that to our viewers, because it looks like a very fascinating lineup for the next 10 years.
Very, very happy to hear that, Ananda, and I am looking forward to coming back as well. Very nice to talk to you.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.